Also the majority whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I feel misread when our advocate here is telling us that an issue lying in the ACC will bar this honorable house, Mr. Speaker, to discuss it. I'm very much aware that he understands that the only body which will restrict anybody from discussing an issue is the courts, Mr. Speaker. And in this case, Mr. Speaker, when a driver causes an accident, who stands in for that? Is the owner who will pay any cost if maybe the car was not insured. Yes, no, let me finish. And the other thing, Mr. Speaker, why did the governor accept to pay back the money if at all that was a blame of the Human Resource Department, Mr. Speaker? Then it could be that the Department of HR could have paid back the money, Mr. Speaker. I rest my case, Mr. Speaker.
It's mswada huu uchahitimu kuonekana kwa hii nyumba ya sheria hapa. Ningeomba sana tuambie ilikuwa inahitaji nini na nini ndio ihitimu ifike hapa, Mheshimiwa Spika. Hiyo ni kutuambia sisi hatuelewi na hatuoni penye tunaenda, Mheshimiwa Spika. Naomba sana atujibu. What does it mean to the motion to meet the threshold, Mr. Speaker? Thank you.
Speaker, I've stood to put some issues right here. In this August House that the law or the policy on persons with disability has not passed through this House. It was enacted 9 months ago, Mr. Speaker. Records are there, the answer is there. And 9 months down the line, the governor has failed to appoint the chairperson of the body to run the issues of persons with disabilities, Mr. Speaker. Also, I don't know which kind of evidence do we need for violation when the annexures are there about pay slips of people earning more than they deserve. The annexures are there. How can the senior counsel allege that there is no evidence? The evidence of pay slips. The evidence of paying back. What do you pay back? By paying back means you have accepted the liability. Honorable Speaker, the council is alleging of personal vendetta and other issues. Can I also challenge him to give evidence of any personal vendetta in the motion? Is there any personal vendetta that you have detected here, such that you give us evidence? Don't lie. What is not mentioned in a motion, we have not mentioned of members of county assembly having a personal vendetta with the government. We have only said he has violated. And you cannot guess that we have a personal vendetta. We have not come here to pick quarrels with each other. We are working for the people. So therefore, can you also table evidence that there is a personal vendetta that you are alleging here? Honorable Speaker, he asked a question here. Is it in the spirit of the public? And this one can be proved by public participation, Mr. Speaker. What else would we do than saying that the public is for the motion? Because we went to the field and there was public participation. I'm irritated of this because I'm the chairman, Justice and Legal Affairs in this, the committee of this House, Mr. Speaker, and I laid a document here with a lot of evidence about public participation, Mr. Speaker. So therefore, Mr. Speaker, another issue here. The council accepts that there is a law on employment at that 5%, which is progressive. Is it indicated in the law that the law remains progressive, that we can continue employing, or the law just puts a ceiling at that 5%? It is in common, in public, that we have employed more than required by the law. There is no when I went through, there is no letter or there is no word indicating that the law is progressive. The law is never progressive. It puts the ceiling at 35%, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if the governor has not broken law, is there a chairman of the body learning the persons living with disabilities issues? Is there a chairman in place 9 months down the line? If there is a chairman, then we could be lying. But if there is no chairman, law has been violated. Mr. Speaker, the people who were employed at HR department, one Kiriago and Imelda, there is a letter, an annexure in the motion, which shows that the governor requested for them from somewhere. And we have not been provided by an advert of the positions when they came in. And there is no evidence that they attended any interview. Therefore, we say they were put there strategically to help with default the county government and the people of Nyamira, their funds. I'm concluding that in this count of Nyamira, just a question, Council, who is the driver? Is it you or me? The driver of this count is Honorable His Excellency Nyaribo. And if the vehicle gets an accident in the form of Nyamira count, who has caused the accident? The driver. And when you have an institution, you take responsibility of the misconduct of your people. I rest my case, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Emmanuel.
I raise just to respond or to comment on the issues by the council as he was submitting the defense. I also see that there was a report which was shared on public participation, and this report, assuming that it's signed by Honorable Vincent Benecha, whom I believe is truthful, fair, and honest, as the chairperson of the Committee of Legal Affairs, the public participation report. Mr. Speaker, sir, in that report, which was sent to our email addresses, there are a few issues which I intend to raise. On page number 11, if you compute a number in Borabu sub-county, a number of 97 questionnaires were filled. In Nyamira South, Mr. Speaker, a number of 129 questionnaires were filled. In Nyamira North, which is the home of His Excellency Governor Amos Nyaribo, there was no questionnaire which was sent or filled according to the data. And then, Mr. Speaker, sir, you go to Manga, a total of 187 questionnaires were filled. You go to Masaba North, a total of 95 questionnaires were filled. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm raising to inquire why the disparity in that in one entire sub-county where the man who is being crucified today, there was no question which was sent there. Mr. Speaker, sir, lastly, in that report, the clerk notes, the clerk, office of the clerk, that's in page 12, says a total of 24 memorandums were received in support of the impeachment motion. Mr. Speaker, sir, while seated here, I've just received evidence from a group of people who submitted 51 memorandums in support of His Excellency, the Governor, Amos Nyaribo. So I also want the office of the clerk that can also respond. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
What is part of information about this?
Mr. Speaker, regarding the Nyamira North Sub-County, Mr. Speaker, under the public participation was supposed to be done in Ekerenya Ward, of which is the headquarters of the sub-county, Mr. Speaker. The said person, the accused person, hired goons from his home ward and they invaded the premises, and it was chaotic, Mr. Speaker. And again, Mr. Speaker, well, the honorable member of this house saying he has received the evidence that there was some memorandum supporting the governor. He was receiving those evidence as who? Those memorandums as who? Why were they not surrendered to the relevant authorities, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, we don't need drama. Let's move ahead, put a question, we vote, we go. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Getting the response from the legal team representing our governor. And we had not started the issue of the debate of the motion after the presentation of the governor. Now, Speaker, I thought we should clear the response issues, the question that we should ask them for clarification, and then we move into debates and subsequent processes on our Speaker.
Thank you, but the Speaker already directed the same. The mover of the motion read the motion, and then His Excellency's team responded with the same, and the debate continues. So we're in the right track. Thank you. Honorable John Mbongi, Member of County Assembly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For Bukira Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise even before we begin the debating. I think this is a house of fairness, as it should be. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, with your guidance through you, I also don't want to agree to the fact that we can claim an allegation without proof that His Excellency the Governor hired goons to go and interfere with the public participation. With all due respect, he also deserves protection from us as members of the County Assembly. Honorable Speaker, I rise to also challenge the public participation process that was done. If I look at the report, I think the Council was refrained from addressing issues that are not part of the motion. And if you look at the public participation, it was to be guided by this same House through its Chairman of Legal and Justice, Honorable Vincent Benecha. But looking at the report, how can we, for example, raise matters that are not in the motion as part of the reasons why the public feels the governor should be impeached? Honorable Speaker, if you look at that public participation report, on page 13, sorry, there is a reason number 2, that majority of the respondents are in support of the motion. That is for the following reasons. Number 2, that the governor does not have academic credentials that are required by law. Honestly, how do we raise that in a public participation? And if you look at these reasons, there are reasons up to number 25. In fact, I've seen one that the governor directed a payment of 10 million to ex gratia to his account when he is not entitled. Then there is one that is also saying that in the financial year 2023, the Auditor General report and such stuff. Honorable Speaker, I really wish that if we were to give the public a right image of the impeachment, then we could tell them exactly what is in the motion of impeachment. So, Honorable Speaker, I really want to challenge that this public participation is not well guided, and whatever that the public was fed with is not what is in the motion paper. Because if we were to give them and tell them to restrict themselves to the motion, then some of these reasons would not be here. So to me, the public participation, in my own opinion, Honorable Speaker, with the right, with the freedom of opinion that I have, is that this public participation was coerced and given to the public members as already poisoned public participation material, so that they could see the evil. In fact, it is guided. So all this stuff, even if you are to capture, then we should capture what is in the motion. Honorable Speaker, I really feel that is an oversight.
And if the matters, they are mentioned, that they are ongoing in court until our term is over. And then what are we oversighting? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Little Majority Appel Mose, also a member of County Assembly for Magwawa Ward.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. I stand also to echo my statement, Honorable Speaker. And this is why he's saying, Ugana Mwe, I can hack you. The fact is, Honorable Speaker, when you talk about the institutional subsidy, that Honorable His Excellency the Governor discriminated some of the students not to benefit from the bursaries or the scholarship if they don't hear from Nyamira. Honorable Speaker, I don't see any reason why we should execute or prosecute the governor giving direction. The governor cannot, and I want to be this, cannot give somebody, a student coming from Kisii County, because Kisii County has the same Kitty on our speech. Even as honorable members, let us be very genuine. In this, let us be very categorical. Honorable Speaker, I know when honorable members were given the bursaries forms to go and to issue to the students, they were specific. They were even going further asking for identification to understand where these people come from, their jurisdiction. What is wrong? Do you want at least the people of Nyamira to lack the benefit they are entitled to give other words? That's unfair. It has reason beyond the box. Honorable Speaker, with the bursaries, I don't see any reason why we should just crucify the governor of giving directives that only the Nyamirians can be direct benefits, beneficiaries. Honorable members, we are not working besides our counties. We are only working in our county. And if you want maybe your friend or your relative to benefit from Kisii, from Homa Bay, do a plan and a mind from there. Let them come and do that one. For the bursaries, P1 belongs to the county. And we have to protect the resources that comes to the county. We cannot go beyond. You are the same people practicing this one. You are the same people who advise the governor that we are not going to give anybody money who is coming outside our area of jurisdiction. Do you expect the government to give monies to people outside the area of jurisdiction in Nyamira? It cannot happen. Each county has its own kitty. It has equitable share. We don't share with any county where equitable shares and our own resource revenue. Number two, Honorable Speaker, about the court orders. I've never seen any court contempt issued to our government. That is a court matter. If there is any court contempt, I think the government should be in jail by now. And if they say the government is free, I don't see any reason why we should talk about what is lying in courts. About the salary payments fraud, I know, and all remember, you understand, we are not being paid in the county by the governor. The governor is not CEC PSM. He's not a CEO. He's being paid the way I'm being paid. And if there was some payments which was abnormal, it is just that person who was overpaid to be surcharged. So the governor was surcharged and we paid the money. It's very correct. And it's a Christian. You wanted not to be paid? You know, let us call a spade by now. Let us stop the fact that the payment that the government received, repaid, was surcharged and repaid and has the paying slip. So we don't need at least to argue about the payment of overpayment of the salary that was repaid. And finally, employment. When we talk about employment, remember, I don't know, why do we repeat this same thing all the time? And you know, I'm surprised, seeing this one happening today again. And I talked about this employment. You all remember. Why do we repeat the matters that was disposed? We discussed this thing. We decided that the governor is not an employing body. I know honorable that will speak about something like that. I don't know if he's speaking, they also want to protect me. I know he has a right. He has a beef with the governor. And I know this time, You know, there are those who are not a speaker, being enticed.
Yes, limit yourself to...
On the speaker, I know some honorary members here, they are enticed to get positions. Let me tell you, honorable, it's going nowhere. We know this one on the speaker. Allow me, honor, to say this. I know, honor speaker, there are those who are promised. Let me tell you, honor members, be contented to be an honorable member. You are chosen to be an honorable member, not a deputy governor. Forget that one. Forget that one. This is a matter that we dispensed, and we don't want it to recur. Why bring the same document?
That's going against the non-misleading the House. In your future, as long as you feel that you have enough meat for the same. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. For sure, Mr. Speaker, and to be sincere, I'm a demoralizing man. Mr. Speaker, the withdrawal of Honorable Joy Mbongi from the board, Mr. Speaker, it has made me to feel low, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a motion. Even if, Mr. Speaker, he has a right to support it or not, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let us not work on intimidation, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, let us not force people, Mr. Speaker, to send the governor home, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as somebody from North Mugirango, Mr. Speaker, sir, there is a first, Mr. Speaker, where the people were asked between Paranaba and Jesus, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, I'm worried, Mr. Speaker, that this House, it has chosen Paranapas instead of Jesus, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as somebody who is coming from North Mugirango, Mr. Speaker, I also see this as total witch hunt, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have given an elephant, Mr. Speaker. Why do they need a rabbit also, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, I was in support, Mr. Speaker, of this, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, I've reasoned the council very carefully, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, somehow, Mr. Speaker, I'm blaming myself, Mr. Speaker, and I'm also blaming the governor, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I'm in record, Mr. Speaker. I myself, Lamek Sikwaya Onyanja MCA Itibo Ward, I didn't give anybody parcel outside Itibo Ward. Because, Mr. Speaker, the resources, when we are being given resources, we are given according to the people who fought in that ward, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, the issue of people with disability, Mr. Speaker, the council team, we passed that bill in this house. We passed that bill in this house, but we didn't give the timeline of the bill when the governor was to appoint that committee. Mr. Speaker, as the majority said, as the majority leader said, Mugara mumwe na haki umupe, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have county public service board, Mr. Speaker. And nothing, Mr. Speaker, limiting us as the Honorable House, Mr. Speaker, to call Mr. Kereri on these appointments, Mr. Speaker, he made, Mr. Speaker. We have the power to summon Mr. Kereri, but not the governor, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Kereri is the chair of the Public Service Board, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, nothing which is barring us, Mr. Speaker, to summon Mr. Kereri. Mr. Speaker, the issue of payroll, the governor the governor is not an accounting officer anywhere, Mr. Speaker. There is no signature of Governor Amos Nyaribo signing salaries of employees, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as we are conducting this, Mr. Speaker, it is good, Mr. Speaker, to do this exercise with a lot of fairness, where everybody is having a right, he or she is having a right to vote whenever he wants, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and this issue of honorable choice, Mr. Speaker, I know, Mr. Speaker, you will deal with it, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Move to the next state. And now put to question that this Honorable House approves the report on the removal of Honorable Amos Nyaribo, the County Governor of Nyamira County, from office by way of impeachment on the following grounds. 1. Gross violation of the Constitution of Kenya and other laws. 2. Abuse of office and gross misconduct. Will as many are of the similar opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many are of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. We will go to the ballot by roll call voting so that we can determine the nays and the ayes. Thank you, honorable members. Clerk, you proceed. And before that,